Have you ever felt like one phone call could split your life into before and after? Have you ever been surrounded by people and still felt completely alone because the one person you want is gone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about loss, grief, and the question people whisper in the darkest hours. How do I keep going? How do I live when the person who anchored my world is no longer here? This is not about pretending to be strong. This is not about forcing positivity. This is about learning how to carry love through grief without turning grief into a permanent prison. Two ideas will guide us. First, grief is not a problem to solve. Grief is love adjusting to absence. It moves in waves, and the waves do not mean you are failing. They mean you are human. Second, the deepest pain of loss often comes from resistance. The mind arguing with reality. The mind replaying what if. The mind bargaining with time. Acceptance does not mean you like what happened. Acceptance means you stop fighting what you cannot change, so you can start healing what you can. Her name was Kayla. She was young when her mother passed. Young enough that the world still felt like it should be fair if you were good. Kayla and her mother had a bond that was not perfect, but it was real. Her mother was the person who answered calls late at night, who remembered small details, who could calm Kayla's nervous system with one sentence. Then her mother was gone. The first days felt unreal. Kayla moved through the house like a ghost. People spoke to her, but their words sounded far away. Food tasted like nothing. Sleep came in broken pieces. When she did sleep, she woke up expecting to hear her mother's voice, then remembered again. And the remembering felt like being hit. Kayla hated the phrase time heals. It sounded like an insult. She did not want time to erase her mother. She did not want healing if healing meant forgetting. She also hated being told to be strong. Strong for who? Strong for what? Her body felt heavy. Her mind felt foggy. Her chest felt like it had a stone inside it. One evening, Kayla sat on the floor with her mother's scarf in her hands and whispered, "What am I supposed to do now?" And that is where the real journey began. Because grief was not just sadness. Grief was also an identity crisis. When you lose someone, you lose a part of who you were with them. You lose a role. You lose a rhythm. You lose a sense of safety. Kayla did not only miss her mother. She missed the version of herself who felt held. In the weeks after the funeral, Kayla noticed something strange. Everyone around her wanted to move on. Not because they were cruel, but because they were uncomfortable. They would ask, "How are you?" Then look relieved if she said fine. They would change the topic quickly. They would offer advice like stay busy, be grateful, think positive. Kayla wanted to scream. Grateful for what? Busy doing what? Positive about what? One day she was washing dishes and suddenly broke down. It was not dramatic. It was quiet. Tears fell into the sink. Her shoulders shook, and inside her head a sentence repeated like a drumbeat. She is not coming back. That sentence is the core of grief. It is not philosophical. It is physical. It is the nervous system trying to accept an impossible fact. Later that night, Kayla scrolled online looking for anything that could make the pain smaller. She found short clips of teachers talking about loss. Some sounded too cheerful. Some sounded too distant. Then she found a calm voice saying something that did not try to decorate grief. The voice did not say grief is beautiful. The voice did not say everything happens for a reason. The voice pointed to a simple truth. If you love deeply, you will grieve deeply. The pain is the proof that the bond was real. Kayla felt something loosen in her chest. Not because she felt better, because she felt less wrong. She realized she had been judging her grief, as if grief was a failure of strength. But grief was not failure. Grief was the natural echo of love. Still, she had to live. Her mother had been the person who helped her make decisions, who reminded her to eat, who knew when she was pretending. Without that presence, Kayla felt like a child walking through a world made for adults. One morning, Kayla forced herself to go outside. The sun was bright. and that felt offensive. How could the sun keep shining when her world was broken? She walked to a park and sat on a bench. Families walked by. Someone laughed. A dog ran in circles. The world was continuing without asking permission. Kayla felt anger rise. Not at any person, at existence itself. Then she felt guilt for the anger, because she thought grief should look pure. She thought grief should be quiet and dignified. She thought anger made her a bad person. But grief is not pure. Grief is a storm. Love, sadness, fear, anger, regret, longing, disbelief, tenderness, numbness, all of it can exist in the same hour. Kayla sat on that bench and let the anger be there without acting it out. She did not shout at anyone. She did not break anything. She simply let it move through her body like heat passing through her. And that became her first lesson in inner practice. Feel what is there without becoming dangerous to yourself or others. Days later, Kayla visited her mother's closest friend, a woman named Priya, who had known her mother for decades. Priya made tea and sat with Kayla without rushing her to speak. The silence felt different. It felt safe. After a while, Kayla said, "I feel like I am falling apart." Priya nodded and said, "You are not falling apart. You are adjusting." When something huge is removed, the body and mind shake. It is normal. Kayla whispered, "I cannot stop thinking about the last conversation. I keep wishing I said more." Priya said, "Your mind is trying to fix the past because it cannot fix the present. It is looking for an escape from helplessness." Kayla asked, "So what do I do?" Priya said, "You grieve honestly, and you live kindly. You do not use regret as a whip. You use it as a reminder to love more clearly while you still can." Then Priya told Kayla a story about her own father. Priya said, "When my father died, I spent months replaying every moment I was impatient. I tortured myself. Then one night I had a dream. In the dream my father looked at me and said, 'You are using my death to punish yourself. That is not love. Love does not punish. Love learn.'" Priya looked at Kayla and said, "Your mother would not want your grief to become your prison. She would want it to become your depth." Depth. That word stayed with Kayla, because Kayla realized she had two paths. She could let grief harden her into bitterness, into numbness, into "I will never love again." Or she could let grief open her into something deeper, more compassionate, more awake. But opening felt dangerous. If love leads to pain, why love again? That is the big fear behind grief. It is not only missing the person. It is fearing the vulnerability of caring again. So Kayla began asking a different question. If I close my heart to avoid pain, what kind of life will I live? She imagined herself walking through years like a locked room, safe but empty, protected but lonely, alive but not fully living. That image scared her more than grief. So she made a quiet vow. I will not close. That did not mean she would force herself to be cheerful. It meant she would keep tenderness alive. She started with small acts. She cooked her mother's favorite meal and ate it slowly. Not to pretend her mother was there, but to honor the memory. She listened to music her mother loved and let herself cry. She wrote her mother letters, not because she believed letters would travel to another world, but because the words needed somewhere to go. At first the letters were full of pain. Why did you leave? How could this happen? I am scared. I miss you. I do not know how to do life without you. Then, over time, the letters changed. They became less like screams and more like conversations. I saw something today you would have laughed at. I made the soup the way you taught me. I helped someone the way you used to help me. I am learning to breathe again. This is another truth of grief. You do not get over it by deleting the relationship. You integrate it. The bond changes shape. The person is not physically present, but the love can remain as a living influence. Kayla started noticing that when she acted with her mother's values, She felt closer to her mother than when she sat in endless replay. When she was kind, she felt her mother. When she was patient, she felt her mother. When she was brave, she felt her mother. It was not fantasy. It was character inheritance. Your loved ones live in you through the qualities you carry forward. This is a powerful way to hold grief, not as a hole that can never be filled, but as a depth that can be lived. Still, there were bad days. One day Kayla saw a mother and daughter shopping together. The daughter rolled her eyes and the mother laughed. It was ordinary. Kayla felt jealousy so sharp she wanted to look away. She felt anger at the daughter for not appreciating her mother. She felt anger at the universe for letting others keep what she lost. Then she felt shame for the jealousy. She went home and cried and thought, I am becoming ugly. But she was not becoming ugly. She was becoming honest. Jealousy and grief is normal. It is the mind's way of saying, I wish I still had that. The practice is not to pretend you do not feel it. The practice is to feel it without letting it turn into cruelty. So Kayla did something wise. She forgave herself for being human. That forgiveness mattered, because many people add a second suffering on top of grief, the suffering of self-judgment. They judge themselves for crying. They judge themselves for not crying enough. They judge themselves for laughing. They judge themselves for being angry. They judge themselves for being numb. The mind becomes a constant critic. Kayla began learning to let feelings rise and fall like waves without making moral verdicts about them. Then came the hardest wave. The first birthday without her mother. Kayla woke up with a heavy chest. Friends texted kind messages. Some invited her out to distract her. Kayla tried, but the whole day felt like a room with missing furniture. She kept thinking, she would have called me first thing. She would have cooked something. She would have teased me. She would have made me feel loved in that specific way only she could. That night Kayla sat alone and felt a thought rise. I cannot do this. That thought is common in grief. It is the mind confusing intensity with permanence. The mind believes the wave will last forever. Kayla remembered something Priya said. Do not argue with the wave. Breathe and let it move. So Kayla lit a small candle, sat quietly, and placed a hand on her chest. She did not try to stop the pain. She stayed with it like staying with a child who is crying. You do not punish the child for crying. You do not demand the child stop. You stay present. Kayla whispered, I am here. Then she whispered something else. Something that surprised her. Thank you. Not thank you for the loss. Thank you for the love. Because she realized the grief hurt because the love was real. And the love was a gift, even though the ending was painful. This is a mature grief insight. You can hate the loss and still be grateful for the bond. That night Kayla cried until she was tired. Then she slept. The next morning she woke up and the pain was still there, but slightly less sharp. The wave had moved. That is how healing happened. Not in one dramatic breakthrough, but in thousands of small survivals. Now let me talk about another part of grief that people rarely mention. The fear that if you stop grieving intensely, you are betraying the person. Kayla felt that fear. On days when she laughed, she felt guilty. She thought, how can I laugh when my mother is gone? This guilt is another common trap. It assumes that sadness is loyalty. But sadness is not loyalty. Love is loyalty. You can love someone and still laugh. You can love someone and still build a life. You can love someone and still experience joy. In fact, joy can be a form of honoring. If your mother loved you, she likely wanted you alive, not just surviving. Kayla slowly allowed herself to enjoy small things again. A warm drink, a walk, a funny video, a conversation with a friend. She did not force joy. She allowed it when it arrived. Then something quietly changed in her. She started helping others. At first it was small. She listened to a friend who was struggling. She volunteered for a community event her mother used to support. She donated to a cause connected to her mother's values. Each act felt like turning grief into compassion. This is where loss can become a doorway to awakening. Not because loss is good, but because loss strips illusion. It shows you what matters. It shows you that time is real. It shows you that love is precious. Tyla began speaking to people more gently. She stopped delaying apologies. She stopped holding grudges as tightly. She started saying "I love you" more often. Grief might hurt her. Not into hardness, into clarity. One day, months later, Kayla found herself talking about her mother without collapsing. She still felt tenderness. She still felt sadness, but she could speak. That was a milestone. It meant the memory no longer only triggered pain. It could also trigger warmth. Kayla realized she was not losing her mother through healing. She was finding her mother in a new way. And that brings us to the deepest point. Do you still feel pain after awakening? Yes. But you learn not to add unnecessary suffering. You stop resisting reality with endless mental war. You feel grief and you let it move. You honor the love by living the values. You keep your heart open while keeping your mind clear. Now I want to speak to you directly, because many of you watching might be carrying loss right now. If you are in the early days, please hear this. You do not have to be strong in the way people demand. You only have to be present enough to take the next breath. If you are in the months after, please hear this. The waves are normal. A bad day does not mean you are going backward. It means you are human. If you are years later and still feel a sting, please hear this. Love leaves a mark. The goal is not to erase it. The goal is to carry it with dignity. And if you are afraid that healing means forgetting, please hear this. You do not forget love by living. You honor love by living. Now I want to close with a reflection that might help you when the wave hits. When grief rises, try saying this quietly. This is love. This is missing. This is the price of connection. I will not run. I will breathe. I will keep my heart open. Then choose one small act of care. Drink water. Eat something simple. Step outside for a minute. Call someone safe. Write a few words to the person you miss. Small care is how you survive big loss. Now I want to invite you to share. If you have lost someone you love, what is the hardest part for you? The quiet moments, the anniversaries, the guilt, or the feeling that nobody understands? Leave a comment if you feel comfortable. Your words might help someone else feel less alone. If this video helped you, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments so more people can find it. And if you want to support the channel in a deeper way, consider joining the membership so we can keep creating long-form conversations that turn pain into wisdom and help you live with an open heart. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Hold your grief gently. Hold your love firmly. Keep walking one breath at a time. And I will see you in the next video. Source title WHETODOWHENNOTHINGGOES so you are WAY Buddhism in English. Batch Article 24. Generated time 2026-118-12/04. New video title: What do you do when nothing goes your way? Do you break or do you wake up? Have you ever had a season where every plan fails? Every door closes, and you start wondering if life is against you? Have you ever tried so hard to be positive, but deep down you felt tired of pretending? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about those seasons when nothing goes your way. The kind of season that tests your patience, your faith, your identity, and your inner stability. This is not a motivational speech. This is a reality talk. Because life does not always reward effort the way we want. Sometimes you do everything right and still lose. Sometimes you try your best and still get rejected. Sometimes you are kind and still get misunderstood. And if you do not have inner training, these seasons can turn you bitter. But if you do have inner training, these seasons can wake you up. Two ideas will guide us. First, when nothing goes your way, the biggest danger is not failure. The biggest danger is the mind story that says this proves something terrible about you. That you are cursed, that you are doomed, that you will never be okay. That story is optional, even when pain is real. Second, the path is not forcing control. The path is learning how to meet reality with wisdom. So your actions become cleaner, your mind becomes steadier, and you stop turning temporary setbacks into permanent suffering. Let me tell you a story. His name was Jonah. Jonah was the type of person who believed effort could solve everything. If you work hard enough, plan carefully enough, and stay disciplined, life will cooperate. That belief served him for years. It helped him succeed in school, build a career, and create a stable routine. Then a season came that did not care about his routine. First, his job situation changed. A project he depended on got canceled. Then his position became uncertain. At the same time, his relationship got strained because stress made him distant. Then, a family issue surfaced, and he had to take on responsibilities he did not expect. Suddenly, Jonah felt like he was running on a treadmill that kept speeding up. He tried to fix everything at once. More planning, more lists, more control, more pushing. And the more he pushed, the more exhausted he became. One night, Jonah sat on his bed staring at the wall. His mind was loud. Why is nothing working? Why is everything collapsing? What is the point of trying? What did I do wrong? That is the moment many people break. Not because life is hard, but because the mind refuses to accept that life is hard sometimes. Jonah did not know it yet, but he was about to learn the difference between pain and resistance. A friend invited Jonah to a small meditation group. Jonah almost refused because he thought it was useless, but he went because he had no other idea left. In the group, the teacher said something that sounded almost as simple. When life does not go your way, you have two choices. You can suffer twice, or you can suffer once. Jonah did not understand. The teacher explained. The first suffering is the event, the loss, the setback, the disappointment. The second suffering is the mind fighting the event, saying it should not be happening. It is unfair. It ruins everything. It proves I am not enough. That second suffering is optional. Jonah felt defensive. He thought, so I am supposed to be happy about failure. The teacher said, no, you are supposed to be awake about failure. Awake means you feel the pain without adding the extra war. That sentence stayed with Jonah. Over the next days, Jonah began noticing how much energy he spent arguing with reality in his head. He would get a rejection email and immediately spiral into a story about his future being ruined. He would have a hard conversation and immediately assume he would end up alone. He would face a delay and immediately feel cursed. The event was one thing. The story was another. So Jonah practiced something small. Whenever he felt the spiral start, he named it. Story is starting. Fear is starting. Resistance is starting. Then he returned to one question. What is the next clean action? Not what is the perfect plan. Not how do I control everything. The next clean action. Sometimes it was sending one email. Sometimes it was taking a walk to calm his nervous system. Sometimes it was apologizing to his partner. Sometimes it was asking for help. Sometimes it was sleeping instead of overthinking. This shift did not fix his life overnight, but it changed his inner posture. He stopped treating life like a personal attack and started treating it like a field of conditions that change. And when you stop taking everything personally, you become more effective.